Good morning, everyone. Today, in the first webinar session for teams being mentored in Ventura 2017, we have with us Mrs. Shalini Kapoor, CTO, IoT Ecosystems at IBM. Ma'am, I would like to thank you for taking some time off your busy schedule to be a part of this session. Shalini ma'am has spent 20 years in the IT industry and has worked on several interesting projects, spurring the growth of IBM in India. Uh, sh- so she has been the chief architect at IBM India Software Labs, leading IoT cloud development. She received the Emerging Women's Achievers Award from the Confederation of Indian Industry in 2011 and the Zinov Technical Role Model Award in 2012. She has written several papers for key IEEE conferences and holds more than 7 patents. Shalini ma'am will be sharing her insights and expertise through a series of questions about IoT and its applications or implementations in businesses. If any of the teams would like to ask her specific questions, kindly send the questions on the YouTube live chat. Okay, ma'am, to start off, IoT has emerged as one of the most groundbreaking technology in the 21st century. What are your views on the importance of this technology and the need for creating new ventures around it?
Yeah, hi Anshul. Thanks everyone for joining this session. It's a pleasure to meet with students and young entrepreneurs who are delving into new areas and who are wanting to create new advancements in the area of IoT. Going back to your question, Anshul, yes, IoT is a groundbreaking technology in this century. It's actually quite pervasive to us. It has been existing for quite some time in a very silent manner, but now it is pervading into the consumer life, and that's why it's being discussed quite a lot in the industry. There will be definitely new ventures created, because if you see, IoT is the first time that hardware and software are coming together. Till now we had two silos: hardware engineers, software engineers, and hardware industry and software industry, the meeting points were very small. But now with IoT, an engineer is an IoT engineer, and he might have come from a hardware background or coming from a software background. So this is the first time that they are coming together, and to be able to give value to customers, there is need of so much of amalgamation of hardware and software, and creation of new kinds of devices, creation of new kinds of analytics, creation of new kinds of models driven by technology. So because there is so much of work to be done in this space, that there is a big room for creating ventures and new areas which will apply IoT to the common life that we live. So this is opened up absolutely new area and lot of potential to build new products. And new products means, yes, you need new ventures, because the thinking is new, the mindset is new, the culture needed is absolutely new.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah. So, how can startups make the most of the IoT ecosystem available in India?
So if we see from an Indian perspective, we have a good presence of semiconductor organizations in India. It's not that we are the most dominant player in the world. If you see Taiwan and China, and they took a lot of head start in terms of hardware development. But when we see software, India has been completely at the forefront. Now, but that's mostly in the services space. Now, from a startup's point of view, if the ecosystem of the right kind of semiconductors are available in India, the right kind of skills and software development skills are available. So for startups, they have the skill pool available to them. They have ideas available, and there's a huge potential, because globally, the automotive companies, the insurance companies, the retail companies, all are looking for IoT solutions and IoT devices. And because we don't have so much of legacy, right? A lot of all over the globe, there is a lot of investments made into legacy. India is fresh. Our entire IT industry is just maybe two to 3 decades old, not more than that. So there is a lot of potential for startups to bring out new products and solutions, bring out new services, and take on this whole wave which is happening, take on it with full force. So I think we are best poised, Indians, we are best poised to have startups in this space and start innovation, because we started late, but we definitely have an edge, and we can leapfrog. We have to miss a few, we can just skip a few, the way we skip classes, right? You just skip a few classes and you move ahead, and you can launch your own products.
Yeah, so on the same path, how can Indian IoT startups place themselves in a way to cater to the global market?
Yeah, so that's an important question, that how do we cater to the global market? Now, globally, if we see, what the startups have to do is they have to first track down what are the industries in which IoT is most prevalent, right? Industries like automotive, right? Industries like insurance, industries like manufacturing. Now, these are some of the industries which are going to be the front runners in adoption of IoT, because there are clear-cut use cases which people are seeing. There's clear-cut efficiency, cost optimization, value to the customers, which are coming in these set of industries. So it's important that the startups, they are based in India, but they should cater to the needs across the globe. Like Industry 4.0, it's so big in Europe, and there are so many organizations who are building solutions around that. So it's important that the Indian startups, they look at these industries where IoT is being adopted to quite a great extent, and they should build applications for them. I think also it's important when the startups are aligning themselves to global needs, that they should not be in silos, that they will build either only hardware or only outsourced projects. They should look at capitalizing the services and aligning to the industry demands globally, and not look only at India industry or what is prevalent here. For example, nobody thought that insurance will use IoT so much, but auto insurance, home insurance, these are global trends where the premium of your house is decided based on the sensors in your house sending information and about temperature, about hail in that area, about weather in that area. So there are some, and insurance companies need this data. They want to monitor a person's health, fitness, our house, our cars, and they need that data, IoT data, as much. Now, this trend is not available as much in India, because as it is, insurance penetration is still low if we compare with global standards. So this is a global phenomenon, and startups in India can make solutions in this space, and the world is their customer.
Right. So, ma'am, looking at the consumer space, many of the new startups that are founded by the same hardware and software engineers are building disruptive, innovative, connected devices. But there's no common approach in terms of business models. So consumers actually do not fully understand what they're looking for or what they're looking at. In a country like India, do you see this as a factor which prevents many startups from venturing into this field?
So it's an quite repeated thing by Steve Jobs when he said people don't know what they want, right? And that's how the Apple iPhone was created. So it's not necessarily that people should know what features they're looking for, or what they are wanting to incorporate. What is important is that what kind of information and what kind of knowledge will help people make their lives better. So whether it is smart automation in your home, whether it is connected tires, which give consumers benefit of knowing that how much mileage their tires have done, and when will they wear off, tear off, and they need to replace the tires. So these are important value to the consumers, which consumers understand value. They do not understand what product and what service will be catered by that value. So it's really important that whenever an IoT business model is created, one has to understand that what is the value which is bringing to the customer, and automatically from there the startups will get to understand that that this is how they should proceed. And I don't think so a consumer mindset and studying a consumer mindset is something which startups should look at. What is important is the usage pattern of the consumer, and what value will that application or that product bring to the consumers. That's what they need to see. So I don't think so that there is this is going to be a hampering path for the startups. They need to understand the value to the end customer, and that itself will drive it.
Right. So another question into India is, one of the major challenges in India is the internet connectivity. With the varying availability of connection across the nation, IoT may not be recognized equally in urban and rural areas. To what extent does this affect the growth of IoT-based startups in the country?
So one is, this is a technological problem. There are many in an IoT. You have cultural problems, you have implementation problems, adoption problem. So the offline and the online kind of thing. This is a very technical problem, because it is solved by various aspects like edge computing, where you don't just send the data to the cloud, you just have it locally within the local network. You don't need an internet connection to send it back, and you also have protocols which support local storage. MQTT is a standard which it can work both in online and offline mode, and it helps you to stream data back whenever the connection is available. So these are technological. Yes, it won't be real time because it's an offline thing. But what I have seen in my multiple projects is that everything need not be a real time. The data need not be real time. Especially in health industry, like if you're monitoring the health of a pregnant woman who's in a remote village, and you're getting her blood pressure readings, pulse rates and all. So it's okay, because you are monitoring the health of the baby. So it's okay even if you don't get the data real time. It's okay if the data is put in a store and forward methodology, and then it comes back to the cloud. So this whole even if internet is not completely available, there are enough protocol standards which have been developed to support the edge computing and keeping the data at the edge, so that it helps not only in real time, it also helps in an offline mode, and then the options of cloud open up. So I would again say that this is a area to it's a potential, it's an opportunity to be able to build applications and solutions which work both in online and offline mode. And it does work. I've been working with some customers where even in a manufacturing setup, they are working in a manner where data is stored locally, and decisions take place locally. In that particular shop floor, the decisions are taken, pretty much within the network before any usage of internet. So there are a lot of examples and use cases which have been implemented in an offline mode, and it's just we have to kind of solve it technically and consider this while architecting our solutions for customers.
Right, ma'am. Apart from connectivity, security has also been a serious issue when it comes to IoT. So I'd like to ask you, how secure are consumer IoT devices presently available in the market, and what should startups keep in mind while designing such devices with regards to safety?
Yeah. So again, a very good question, because I would say that one of the most important part while designing your systems is security, and that is one reason why IoT's progress will be hampered or is a little slow, because if you have your set-top box in your home and your coffee machine in the home connected to the internet, and somebody hacks it, it's not a good idea, and it definitely gives an uncomfortable feeling. So it's really important that while you're designing your products, at that point of time, you look at security. So what we do is we do a security review. We do a security of the hardware device. We do the security of the firmware, of the networks through which the data is flowing, and the way the personal data is being stored at the cloud level. At every level, the security standards need to be followed. And we are talking about multi-level authentications. We're talking about SSL and TLS certificate-based authentications. So these are some of the things which have to be followed when you are designing those products, because the security is one area where the entire IoT can become a question, because the devices and our coffee machines, our microwave ovens, our washing. The least we want is that they are hacked and they start giving data about my home and or my car or my factory. None of them I want to go out. So one has to design, and there are a lot of security standards being developed in IoT. It's still a very hot area, and a lot of new products are coming out in this, so that people cannot do denial of service attacks on your devices, on your gateways, on your routers. At every point of time, the security is really important, and I would advise startups not to overlook this area at all.
Ma'am, I've received a technical question from Chintan Mishra. So the question is, like the internet backbone, what is it that would be required for building the IoT backbone, which is securely recognizing machine-to-machine interaction?
Yeah, so there is a good amount of work happening here. That what is the kind. So there are people who are talking about a directory of Internet of Devices. There are people who are talking about peer-to-peer communication between devices, and seeing that that becomes the backbone. So it's not that internet will not be the backbone. Internet will be the facilitating factor in IoT devices. But in IoT devices, the recognition of the devices, the directory structure, and their hierarchical nature in their the way the devices are categorized, the device types, the device model is something which is going to be a big backbone. Because a device, once you have defined a device model, you can apply many kinds of devices to be implemented against each model. So the entire meta model of a device is something which I think is evolving. Some of the organizations have implemented their solutions based on a device model, and I've seen that these kind of organizations are able to apply changes faster. They are able to cater to different multiple kinds of use cases. So the device model and the directory of devices in you can categorize a directory. It can be in terms of an organization. It could be in terms of the type of device, and the type also might be multiple kinds. It could be logical type. It could be physical attributes that you are looking at the device. So these are some of the areas which one should look at to create a new set of devices. But I would also like to bring in that what has happened is that people talk about millions and billions of devices, but when they are implemented in a organizations, people are not implementing millions of devices. They are starting with a few hundred, and they're starting with a few hundreds and thousands, and looking at pilots. And millions is mostly on paper. Most of the organizations are implementing a few thousands of devices currently, but yes, in years to come, these numbers will increase over time.
Right. So, ma'am, looking at the applications, IoT is finding increasing applications in the field of healthcare around the world. So, how do you think startups in India can make use of IoT to improve the Indian healthcare system?
So one is, I don't think Indian healthcare system can be solved only by IoT. There are a lot of issues, and there are a lot of things that have to be done. But yes, the entire remote patient monitoring, the entire management of hospitals is something which I've seen some good startups doing pretty good work. I've also seen startups build products which can monitor, say, attack of epilepsy. So I met a startup which has developed a very nice glove, which can, through the sensors in your palm, you can find out based on your sweat glands that how much how much sweat is there, or how much palpitations or the pulse. So based on that, they've developed a very smart glove which helps in predicting epileptic attack in patients. I've also met very good startups who have built a device for cardiac arrest, that a cardiac arrest is going to happen in a patient. So predicting diseases, predicting that the health of an individual, and I'm sure all of us know about the health and activity bands and all those things which help us improve our lives. I'm not talking about just those, but in the Indian ecosystem, the capability to predict the disease and also to be able to monitor, this is a universal need, these are some of the areas where healthcare startups can work in. Apart from that, there is a huge amount of potential in the entire hospital management system. I'm aware of of an organization with whom we are working. They have deployed IoT just to manage ward boys and the stretchers in the hospital. So what happens is that the stretcher doesn't come on time because the ward boy is having tea in some corner. So they started monitoring per stretcher, per ward boy, where they are available in the whole 10 to 12 floors of the hospital, and that helped in the optimization of the number of people, the number of beds, and increase the availability of the stretcher to the patient. So just by tracking people in a hospital, things improved, and now they are applying it to tracking wheelchairs, tracking hospital beds, tracking the oxygen cylinders which are there in the hospital. So suddenly there is efficiency in the system because the devices and the people both are trackable. So these are some very innovative solutions which are needed in the Indian ecosystem, because our cost of operations becomes much more. There are more people involved in our healthcare system than if we compare it with US. It's more process centric. So, and in our scenario, there are more assets. There are more assets on a hospital. So, how do you monitor that all those assets? So, these are some of the areas which apply very well to the Indian scenarios.
Right. So, ma'am, if we look at the earlier stages, before companies would deploy IoT solutions for one of the two reasons, either to increase efficiency or to cut costs. So, with the advances in technology, we can now look at IoT services to add strategic value. IoT can also increase customer satisfaction and bring in new business models or revenue streams. So, what is your take regarding the same?
Yeah, I think you're right in your observation. I'll quote another example. So we did some work with Whirlpool. Whirlpool is our IoT customer. So when they came to us, they actually came for what you mentioned as cutting costs. That how can we cut costs, and they try to use IoT for cutting costs, and then slowly they realized that they actually cut costs during the production of a dishwasher, and they said that now we can predict the failure of a machine part, or so we have definitely cost savings involved, and that cost savings they used to give better customer satisfaction by instrumenting IoT devices in microwave and washing machines and dishwashers, and that brought a lot of value to the customer, because now if a washing machine's drum is going to break, Whirlpool comes to know about it in advance because the machine is instrumented, or it gives a signal, and it reduces the call which a customer will have to make to the call center and say my machine is broken down. So it has brought in a better customer value. So what started as cutting cost has actually become providing value to the customer, and that is what is going to happen in almost all the customers that we are working with, whether it's in the connected car space or connected operations, manufacturing. In all the places, people start with cutting costs, but actually they start delivering more value to the customer, and that helps them become leaders. The organizations become leaders, and they are able to retain their customers in a much better manner.
Right. So, ma'am, shifting our focus to venture capital. Venture capital investments in the IoT market jumped from $34 million in 2010 to $341 million in 2015. So, do you think there will be a saturation in the number of IoT-based startups and the funding in the near future?
So I think it's just a beginning. We have not even reached the midpoint, and so we can't talk about saturation now. There is huge, humongous scope in IoT, both in creation of services, the right services, both in creation of the right products, the applications, the analytic models, which can predict, multiple parts of multiple things about a machine. So we have not even reached the midpoint. So I don't think so that there is an issue of saturation, because there is definitely a lot of scope. The only thing is that the organization should be able to provide and convince the VCs of that there is a value to the customer, because there are a lot of IoT startups which are happening, but they are not able to show a value to the end customer. So understanding that whole cycle of ecosystem and partnering, because nobody can do it all. IoT is one area where you have to partner, you have to take leverage of the ecosystem. You have to leverage, said somebody makes a good device, but you make a good application, or you make a good device and somebody makes a good application. That whole partnership and the whole ecosystem coming together, and with that you are able to give value to a customer at the cost which is affordable. That you have to prove to. As long as people are proving this to the VCs, the money inflow will keep happening.
Right. So, ma'am, another question coming from one of our participants, Hari, is that what is the scope of IoT in the transportation industry?
Okay. So in the transportation industry, we have seen a lot of interest areas. Like there is an FMCG company talking to us about monitoring of their entire fleet of trucks, because the goods are transferred. So it's a distribution problem, right? That the goods are transferred from warehouse to the retail store, etc. So they want us to monitor the entire wait time of a truck, and the entire offloading time and loading time of a truck, so that they can see that when the goods will reach the factory or the retailers at the other end. So that is one area in transportation where we have seen that there are a lot of requests coming from customers. The other in transportation, the other area is, you would have heard of blockchain. Blockchain is helping a lot in IoT. So we talk about IoT in blockchain, where in the entire supply chain, whether it is transportation and transferring of goods from the supplier to the vendor to the customer to the distributors to the wholesalers, in the entire chain, there is a lot of need of a hyper ledger to be available, so that you can do it in a distributed mechanism, and the trust is maintained between all the organizations or all the participating organizations. So these are some areas and examples in IoT, in transportation, where we have seen a lot of customers asking for solutions. Then within the same thing comes the entire cold chain, right? In the entire cold chain, transportation logistics, where goods manufactured right at the farm are delivered through maybe Big Basket or Zopno that we have today. So there are so much of transportation of perishable goods and greens and fruits and vegetables which is happening, where they have to be transported from one end to the other, and there is a lot of need of IoT devices to monitor the status and the maybe the freshness of tomatoes, right? Even that needs to be monitored on a moving truck. So these are some kind of use cases which are coming to us, and we have seen very good level of interest from our customers.
Right. So another question coming in from our participants is that Chintan asks again, which programming framework shows promise to be used as a standard for IoT development, like Android standardized mobile phones? So he's asking any particular programming framework which shows promise in IoT development.
So I would suggest that have a look at open source tools. There is one open source tool called Node-RED. So Node-RED is based on the Node.js, and use that to use Node-RED to visually wire Internet of Things objects. That this is being used quite a lot universally by developers, because you can have you can deploy it you can deploy it on a device, you can deploy it on the cloud, you can deploy it on an application, web application, you can bring in mobile services, you can bring in Twitter, social. I mean, there are so many different kinds of services you can bring within Node-RED itself to make an application. So a lot of developers are going towards Node-RED and developing Node.js applications.
Right. So, ma'am, our final question of the day would be that what would be your final message to the brave entrepreneurial souls of our participants?
Okay, so the message would be that whatever idea you have, whether it's at the cusp of hardware, software, or only software or hardware, whatever idea you have, I'm sure you all know that there has to be a business model. But the most important thing is that have a value created for the customer. Your customer could be a consumer, your customer could be an enterprise, right? But in either of the case, are you delivering value which is sustainable over a period of time? That is the most important thing. And please work with the ecosystem. Do not think that you will do it all and that your startup will build the algorithm also and will build the device also and will build the sensors also. Please partner. And there are enough people available in the market today who are very good in sensors, who are very good in distribution, very good at the board level. And there are but it is really important that you leverage what is already present and do not spend too much time in building everything from scratch, because in IoT, timing is the key. That how quickly you are able to understand the customer value and build a product. So the agile development has to happen in a manner that it does not take too long for your product to hit the market.
Right.
Sorry.
So, yeah, thank you, ma'am, for again giving time out of your busy schedule to help us out. And I'm really sure that your inputs would really help the startups and the entrepreneurs to, gain an insight into IoT and to help them in the future pursuit. So I'd like to
Sure.
end this session, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks everyone. All the best. Bye. Thanks, Anshul.
Thank you.